I paid all my taxes up to date. I've just come here because I'm fed up with Labour, the way they're running the country.
To me, Charlie Mullins is a brilliant example of stupidity. Of course, he's not a complete idiot. He has, after all, built a multi-million-pound business and is rich beyond many people's dreams. But where Mullins shows levels of gross stupidity is in his ignorance. And in some ways, this ignorance, combined with his arrogance, has its roots in his own success. But let's listen to him a bit, chat with Ben Kentish.
But not only have they driven out 11,300 millionaires, all they've inherited is 50,000 illegal immigrants. So, you know, is that a good trade-off? They've invited 50 or allowed 50,000 people in, that's in 9 months, which are not contributing to the pot, and they're driving out people that I think
they're not contributing to the pot because they're not allowed to work, Charlie. Many of them that are granted asylum go on to work and pay tax.
Hold on a minute. All you lot keep going about not allowed to work. They're illegal. What bit of illegal?
They're not. If they're granted asylum status, they are not illegal.
Stop talking rubbish.
Charlie,
they're illegal.
It's quite a basic element.
They come here with no passport.
They come here. They claim asylum. If they are granted asylum as hold on. Let me just explain to the thing. If they are granted asylum, as 2/3 of them are, they are allowed to work. They contribute. They're not leaving. They're paying taxes here and working here.
Look, they come here without a passport. They dump their passport. Let's not. Why beat about the bush and talk rubbish all the time?
I'm just giving you facts.
So Charlie knows about business, and he's rich, and he's been given platforms to air his views. Well, his prejudices, really. But that doesn't mean he knows how all systems work. Here, he's wandered into a realm he thinks he knows about. To him, all immigrants trying to get into the country are just scroungers. But there's a system that they need to go through to check to see if they're fleeing persecution. If that's true, then they're granted asylum. If not, then they're removed. Charlie doesn't know that's just how the system works. He most likely thinks that the army can just pick them up and dump them back in France.
Well, I'll give you the facts then. They're illegal.
Well, they're not, are they? Because under international law,
this country without a passport,
they're not illegal. No, that's just not true.
Enter North Korea and they give you the death penalty.
Under the Geneva Convention on Refugees, that's not true. No, Charlie, hold on a minute. I'm afraid you're saying things that are untrue. If you come here as a refugee under international law to claim asylum, that is not illegal.
Let's talk about something that I know about and maybe you don't know about.
All right, but you're the one that brought up asylum seekers when, with respect, it seems you don't know much about it.
You're creating an argument that you can't win.
So here's where Charlie shows his stupidity. He doesn't know the facts. It's not even an argument, as Ben was merely pointing out that Mullins' rhetoric was full of false information. But to Charlie, because he feels it, because he works on his gut, his feelings trump truth. And because he has money, power and notoriety, he has lived a life where he can force his point of view, guided by emotions rather than fact. It's a case of ignorance plus arrogance equals stupidity.
I'm not the one that started talking about asylum seekers and claiming people are illegal when they aren't. But I'm happy to move on because it's gone down a very strange route.
Let's move on because you're just talking about something we don't need to talk about. And if they're not illegal, why don't they come here with their passport?
Because they're fleeing famine and conflict and persecution. And quite a lot of them do have passports, actually.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, you are absolutely clueless. But anyhow, forget about that. Let's move on to the real subject.
What's the real subject, Charlie?
It's not just a problem of losing all the millionaires and billionaires. You got to remember
Click here for more videos on stupidity.